So I've been thinking a lot this week about the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the murder of Irina Zarushka and the left's reaction or lack of reaction, the way they've been celebrating it, and the disgusting things that I've seen of people harassing Charlie Kirk's wife, going on her social media and mocking her, and it's just absolutely vile behaviour that I've seen from them. And it got me thinking, why are the left so evil? And I was thinking back to a few years ago when we had a lot of articles of people saying why I'm no longer on the left, why I'm leaving the left. Well, that was all of the good people that were formerly on the left, all of the people who could be reasoned with and talked to and be persuaded and who were open for debate. That was them saying, we've had enough of this. So now there's only evil people left on the left. And all of the people who used to be evil that were on, or used to be on the right that were evil, seem to have gone over to the left because that's, they're basically a protected class in most Western countries. You're not allowed to criticize, you're not allowed to say this or do that. And I started thinking about left-wing values and the things that they support and the things that they believe, and wondering, are any of them actually good or are they all evil? Because if you take a lot of the things that the left stand for, right? Multiculturalism. Well, that's evil. Why is that evil? Because a nation divided against itself cannot stand, right? It will collapse. You put two cultures that are opposed to each other or have conflicting beliefs in one place, they're not going to get along. And it will always lead to tyranny, because the only way that you can get them to even coexist is to force them and say, well, you can't say this anymore, you can't do that anymore. You have to force them. It's the only way to make it work, in inverted commas. And I think the government's pushing this. They know this, right? They know this. They're deliberately trying to destroy the Western world. They've been infiltrated. They're traitors. They've sold out. And I think we all know that deep down. And then you've got globalism, which is essentially a larger version of multiculturalism, or will always lead to multiculturalism, right? Let's say we had all ethno-states. England was just English people, and any other country you like is just that one, like, culture or race in that country, right? And they say, well, let's have a round table of all the different representatives from the different nations working together. It's always going to lead to multiculturalism. It's always going to lead to, well, let's facilitate the movement of peoples and trade between our countries. It's always going to lead to that. So that's evil too. And again, globalism, you kind of have to force it. It's not going to happen peacefully, right? You're going to have to force it if you want people to work like that. Or I say work, you know what I mean. And then communism, I don't need to explain what's wrong with that. You all know why communism is evil, how many people die, how it always leads to tyranny, how it always destroys everything, takes away people's rights and freedoms. You know about that. And then you've got feminism, which is kind of the odd one out in the sense because it does something different. It attacks the foundation of the culture. It attacks the foundation of the nation. It's attacking the family unit. It's encouraging women to act like men to act like women. Men don't find women attractive who act like men. Women don't find men attractive who act like women. It's, again, destructive. Everything, all the values that the left seem to gravitate towards, all the belief systems, they're always evil, right? They always all lead to evil. And like I said, all the good people left the left. They don't want any more to do with that. And so you're seeing this divide now where it's like the right wing are becoming the good guys and the left wing are becoming the bad guys, which is the opposite of how it was sold to us when we were, I remember going through school And they're always trying to teach you the right wing is bad. The right wing is bad, and the left wing is trying to make progress. We're trying to make the world a better place. And it's not true. That's not how it works. In fact, one thing I notice about evil people is they will always try and play the victim. They'll always say, you need to change the way you behave towards us. Or they'll try and provoke a reaction from you. And then when you react with anger, they'll try and make you angry. And then when you react with anger, they'll go, look, see, he or she's an evil person. Look at the way they're reacting. They're violent, they're aggressive, and all of this. And it's just, yeah. But obviously with the reaction to the Charlie Kirk murder and things like that, the mask is off, right? You can see clearly, like, these people are cruel and sadistic, and they're not trying to build a better world. So they've got no leg to stand on now. They fuck themselves in many ways. They're not going to be able to achieve their goals by playing the victim anymore, that's for sure. And so I was thinking about, what are we going to do about all this? Because it's going to end messily, it's going to end badly. And I think what we have to do is stand by our values. And this is why I think Christians kind of have an advantage in this, because if you look at like the way the atheists are reacting, yes, some of them are saying, yeah, we need to not give into it and not be peaceful. But I've seen a lot of them saying, the God freaks, they're weak, they're not gonna fight, they're just gonna let the enemy win. It's like, no, we're not gonna let the enemy win. We're gonna stand our ground with what we believe, but we're not gonna kill the others. Because if we do that, if we retaliate, then they'll retaliate, then we'll retaliate, and they'll retaliate, and it will just go round and round and round and round in a big spiral of death and chaos and destruction. So yes, that does mean that the evil people essentially are going to win. In the long run, they'll just kill us all. And that's why it's important that we stand by our values, because there's a line in the Bible which is something like, he who wishes to keep his life will lose it, but he who is willing to give his life for my name or for my sake shall live forever. And I think that's important. Like, when you ask, like, what does God want from us? It's like, well, he's put us in this place where we're constantly being tempted to react in a violent way or in an angry way. And of course, we know that that's, if you do that, you will eventually become evil, right? I'm seeing a lot of the right wing are going, yeah, well, then the left aren't prepared for what we're going to do. They've been pushing us, and now we're going to snap. And it's like, so you're going to become like them, essentially. At first it will just be retaliation, but then you'll start getting angry, you'll start getting vengeful, you'll start getting sadistic, just like they are, right? It's going to end with everyone being evil. And the only way to avoid that is to say, well, look, we're not going to go out and kill them, we're not going to retaliate, we're not going to do any of this shit, we're just going to stand by our beliefs, keep saying what we're saying, and if they kill us, so be it. I know that sounds, to a lot of people say, that's weak, you're just going to let the enemy win. But it's like, well, according to the book of Revelation, they're going to win anyway. It's better to live forever in heavens, to stand by your values and to make your Creator proud. And yeah, that means you're going to die, but hey, you're going to die anyway. And I think what you die for is more important than what you kill for certain. I remember a 50 Cent line where he's like, I fear when I kill a man, God won't understand. And it's like, no, it's you who doesn't understand. Right? Like, you can't just give in to that. There's no real justification for it. I remember a line in the Bible that was something about killing it day and nighttime, and how you're more likely to be forgiven if you do it at night because it's accident, right? You can't always simply defeat your opponent or injure them to prevent them from attacking you at night, because you can't see what's going on. In the daytime, they're less forgiving. Anyway, I think that's about all I have to say at the moment. So I'll be seeing you next time.